long story short is that we do not come from a big bang. We are not a coincidence. We live in an intelligent environment. That means that we are created by somebody. And you cannot be a big bang theory and it will come from monkeys and deny the existence of God. When you make the earth round, there is no God. Because then the flat earth, supposedly, we are the only people. There's no aliens. We're created by God. The whole system is created by God. And that's in the firmament, and the earth it's not moving.
There's actually a lot of legitimate, credible physicists that are actually questioning the Big Bang Theory now. Like that's,
all right,
I think that's in question now.
And it's all a theory.
But that doesn't mean the earth is flat. All right, Psalm 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their voice is not heard.
Yeah, but this is actually, you have to go into the old King James version, if you can, because this is actually already...
right there?
Yeah, it already went...
Okay, it's the same one.
Well, I'll find it for you. It's kind of hidden, you know. I'm not gonna go into this if you.
I think this is fun. Why? What evidence have you seen that convinced you to believe that that's true, that the world is flat?
Well, let's think about water. So, do you think that water finds its level? So, if I have a big bucket here and I pour water in there, it's gonna be leveled, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what if this bucket is as big as the Atlantic Ocean?
It's going to be level where it all depends on gravity. Okay,
well, let me ask you this now. If it's not leveled, that means that there is peaks and troughs somewhere, let's say, then how does that water not just flow away?
Because the moon and the poles of the earth, there's gravity depending on the earth rotates.
Sounds like a lot of bullshit. It's a lot simpler when you go out and you look at the horizon and it's flat as heck. It's never curved. It's never round unless you're looking through a fisheye lens.
I forget where it was, but I heard that the whole flat earth thing was created on 4chan as like a troll. This guy was trying to troll, and actually some people like saw it and they started to like take hold of it and started to believe it.
Because the earth was flat for forever until the last 600 years. The earth became round 600 years ago. Before that, all the astronomers, Ptolemy, who was the biggest astronomer of Egypt, what do you think? Those people were stupid and they couldn't figure out that the earth is not flat? Why are those stars always in the same places? Why is there celestial navigation? If we're spinning around the axle with 1,600 miles actually 1,000 miles,
1,000 miles an hour,
1,000 miles an hour, and then we're spinning with over 100 million miles an hour around the sun, how is it possible that the Big Dipper has been there for the last 40 years?
Let's Google it. Austin, ask Google, how come if the earth is spinning, how come we always see the same constellations above us or the same stars?
But this is a cabal and everything. Try to find something about the flat earth. As soon as you start looking for something, they tell you that you're an idiot. So it's cognitive dissonance, bam.
Yeah, you can fly literally over the North Pole and end up in Russia.
You can do this on the flat earth too.
You can fly straight in one direction and you will fly all the way around the earth and end up where you started.
You can do this on the flat. It's like a CD. So you just fly around like this and you fly to Russia like that. It's not much of a difference.
Well, then if it's a flat disc, what's under it?
It's nothing. It's actually, they say it's a flat disc and then it has a firmament on top of it.
Like a dome?
The sun, yes, and then the sun and the moon are inside the firmament. And this is all from the Bible, from the old Bible. You got to read the old Bible, the Hebrew Bible. If we do this again, I'll bring materials.
Okay.
And they're online. And how difficult it is to find anything online about reading about the flat earth that makes any kind of a sense. I mean, if it's a bunch of bullshit, just let somebody write something and don't suppress it. Every time you pull up flat earth, you have the YouTube warning underneath telling you that this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Why do they have to tell
I agree with that. That's silly that they do that.
Sometimes on your videos you have like fucking things underneath said something about on yours.
Okay, well what about ships? How come they can sail off into the distance and after they get to a certain distance they disappear below the horizon?
Because your eyes can see only so far. If you go out here on the beach and look at Egmont Key, I mean from Treasure Island, you know how you can see the Gulf, the water, and then like an empty, like a white space, and then the trees. Would you agree that you see? I see this every morning because I walk the beach.
When you see what? When you're looking.
So I'm looking from the beach. I'm looking south towards Egmont Key.
Okay.
And I see the island.
Right.
All the way at the end. All the way at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But the island seems to be like it's floating on top of the water.
Okay.
And if a boat will approach the island, the boat will go behind that floating line that is actually like a vibrating air and moisture.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you cannot see it. And this is what appears. The sun does the same thing. The sun just goes away from you.
Yeah, but you could get a telescope and look at it and still.
At what?
At a boat going off into the horizon.
Right.
And you can zoom in on it and you can see it going, because see it moving, because obviously you have a telephoto.
You can zoom in, then you can zoom in again and it comes back.
Still disappears.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
There's been tests done.
All right. Can you pull up Nikon P900? Just put Nikon P900 on YouTube.
Nikon P900?
Yeah.
What is that?
That's I used to have that camera, by the way. It has a 2000 optical zoom.
Did you find about the constellations? Yeah. Okay, because the Earth's axis points at a point in the sky around which everything appears to move, including the stars. In the north, this happens to be very close to the star called Polaris,
right,
or the North Star, and
right.
it is in the constellation called the Ursa Minor, or the Little Bear.
Right.
Because the Earth's axis points at a point in the sky.
It's a bullshit explanation, and it doesn't mean anything. It means because the Earth axis points at the sky. So the North Star is here. That is true. So if you take a camera, if you open up a camera lens, put it on in your home, if you have a nice camera, and you have cameras, open up and do a slideshow for 3 hours of the sky. What are you going to get? Have you ever seen it?
Yeah. At the North Pole.
The North Star is in the middle, and all the stars are spinning around it.
Pull up go on YouTube and find a like a video, like an animation that shows the
Not
Earth.
Not animation. Animation, anybody can animation.
No, but it'll explain.
Oh, I can explain
why. It'll show you visually why the stars stay. Let's see what they're saying.
I know, but it's not going to be visually. It's going to be an animation that somebody created.
Exactly.
And it's not
exactly, but it's gonna be an argument for the Earth being
Let me ask you
round.
this: have you ever seen with your own eyes, not heard from somebody, not use any tools? Have you ever seen anything that shows that this place is curved anyhow, or felt a movement?
You mean you can see it when you can see it when there's videos of these things going up into the atmosphere?
No videos. I'm talking, have you experienced with your senses that the Earth is round?
Well, I can't fly up in the atmosphere
I'm just
myself.
asking. It's a yes or no question. So
on an airplane?
No. Have you, with your own senses, experienced that?
That's impossible. How could I see it when I'm 6 feet above the ground?
Me neither. That's what I'm saying. I haven't seen it that it's round. But when I go to the ocean, it's always flat. I haven't seen an ocean that goes on the sides like, up and down.
Right, but you don't need to. So you need to see it to believe it.
Absolutely. Don't you? Aren't you like that?
And you don't trust any of the videos or any of the documentaries or any of history. You don't trust any history.
No, and I'll tell you, I do trust history, but history is written by the winners. And one thing that I learned when I was a kid, when I was coming home with my history book, my dad used to take my history book and read it on Sunday after lunch, and it was the most amusing book for him that he has ever read in his life, because it was written by the communists, and it was a totally different story, and it was a total bullshit. And you will sit there and tell me this wasn't true, this is bullshit. History is written by the winners.
Right, but that goes for anything.
Right.
You can't really know. I mean, no matter what you read in a book, how many books have you read that they're depictions of science or history, but you haven't been there to see it with your own eyes? That doesn't, just because you haven't seen it with your own eyes, it's the same thing with the Holocaust.
If I haven't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't speak about it with being sure about it.
Right, but you sound like you're sure that the Earth is flat.
Well, because with my own eyes, it looks flat. And I would like to know what kind of a lubricant they use for this 1,600 miles or 1,000 miles an hour in 24 hours. We spin like 1,000 miles an hour, and how there is not a single shake. There must be some hell of a gyroscope, and they must be oiling that motherfucker good so it doesn't shake at all. Look at this. We're spinning right now with 1,000 miles an hour.
Because we're moving. The same thing when you're in an airplane. An airplane's going hundreds of miles an hour. You don't.
Well, what if it goes in the opposite direction of the spin?
If it stops and goes the other way?
No, if the Earth spins to the left and you go to the right with the airplane, what does it mean? It's going to stay in one place and the Earth is going to spin underneath?
No, everything is relative. If you start flying, the Earth is rotating one way, but if you fly, that's why if you fly to California right now, it takes an extra hour to go one way than it does the other way.
That's the wind.
The wind, the atmosphere, it's all the same thing.
I mean, there's the wind speed, so it depends how the wind blows. That's
right.
So, I mean, but so you're telling me then, so the logic is that we have the Earth, then we have the atmosphere, whatever other spheres, and then there is a vacuum. Is this how you understand it?
Well, we have the core of the Earth. We have the mantle.
I'm going bigger than that. So we have the globe, and then we have the atmosphere around it, and everything spins together.
Right.
And then when we penetrate this with a rocket, then we end up in vacuum, right? There is a vacuum somewhere.
Right.
You agree on the vacuum?
I guess. I mean, I'm not a.
Well, they say there's a
I'm
vacuum.
not an astrophysicist.
That the Tesla car just floats in the air because it's a vacuum. A vacuum is you can just push something and it goes forever because there's no resistance.
Okay.
So a vacuum is a void.
Look, I'm not an astrophysicist.
No, this is simple. You know what the vacuum is. So I can take this can and put a pump here and suck out the air and close it, and inside would be a vacuum.
Right.
So that vacuum is a void. It's a void of something. This is empty.
Right.
So if I break this seal, even if the smallest hole, that's going to suck on the air because the air wants to go into the void.
Right.
So if the Earth is covered with the atmosphere, stratosphere, whatever sphere, and then a vacuum starts somewhere, how is it sealed? Because a vacuum has to be sealed. It's a void. As soon as you break,
how is the Earth sealed?
Well, how is there a vacuum and where does the vacuum start? That's my question.
I think it gradually, once you exit the atmosphere, it starts to gradually go away because all the gases that are in the atmosphere.
A gradual vacuum. It's a void. Something is protecting it to get.
I don't know.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. And here's what I'm saying. It is a theory, and everybody's entitled to believe to whatever they want to.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. They say that great intelligent people will accept people to have two opposite theories, and they will accept both of those theories. So in other words, we have to learn not to, when somebody says something, and this is specifically an example with the flat earth, hey, the earth is flat. Oh, you're an idiot. That doesn't mean anything. You should sit down and research it. And usually people that research the flat earth become flat earthers.
I've watched a lot of documentaries about it, and I've listened to a lot of people talk about it and try to argue for it. And I've never been convinced. I don't understand. I think it's one of those things that people. I think it's one of those things that people cling on to because they get some sort of sense of community, and they believe it. Absolutely. And they find other people that believe it, and they make it a part of them.
Right.
And they cannot be convinced any other way.
Exactly. And you know what? And that's great. And I'm not. I cannot say that I'm 100% sure. I'm really not 100% sure. But from the things that I see with my eyes, and with the things that I feel with my senses, and the things that I've experienced in life, and been on an airplane many times, and see it from up and down, and with some math that I have used with Google, I have found out that a lot of those things don't jive. And when things don't jive, and when you search for something is somehow hidden, because when you search for something when it's hidden, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So why hide it if it's not true? And all the research about flat earth is hidden.